Hello, hello. Welcome back to the C-Suite Mama podcast. I'm your host, Shay Campbell. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are listening to episode 17. I'm so excited that I have had the opportunity to sit down for the last few months and have some really incredible conversations. It started out as just an idea, and to think that we are here at episode 17, preparing to wrap season 2 in just a bit. I trust that you are going to really enjoy this short and sweet conversation that we had today with the CEO, Chandra Redfern from Buffalo Federation of Neighborhood Centers, just loaded with wisdom. So I just encourage you to get your notebooks ready and soak in all this wisdom that Chandra gives. Such a great conversation. On this week's episode, we have a very special guest, Mrs. Chandra Redfern, the CEO of Buffalo Federation of Neighborhood Centers, also known as BFNC here locally. Thank you so much, Chandra, for being with me.
Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, my pleasure. So before we jump into the C-suite mama content here, tell us a little bit more about BFNC, what you do, and how you came to this position.
So, BFNC is a community based organization. And we stem from the settlement house tradition. Settlement houses were founded in the late 1800s. The settlement houses that we come from are the Neighborhood House Association and Westminster Community House. And those were designed to help the European settlers come in, acclimate to America, learn American customs, traditions, get jobs, things like that. And the settlement house tradition is actually the birth of social work, right? So most people know about Jane Addams and Hull House, but there were lots of settlement houses actually in the United States. So in 1981, the settlement houses merged and became the Buffalo Federation of Neighborhood Centers, and our founding, who was then the executive director, was Jan Peters. So we provide a variety of wraparound services and interventions that address the social determinants of health. Basically, things that stop people from being healthy. That's what we do. And that may be housing, care management, which is about linkage and advocacy and monitoring. We have youth services both in Erie and Niagara counties. We do financial empowerment through our Hope Center. Free tax preparation is what's most popular to everyone, but we also do pathways to home ownership, helping people with budgeting, judgments, things like that. And we have food pantry, and then there's different ad hoc programs we do throughout the year, like our brunch with Santa for single parents and our senior Thanksgiving luncheon. And so, how did I end up here? Well, some time ago, over 20 years ago, I was going to go back to school to get my master's degree, and I was working in another organization with individuals who were living with mental health diagnoses. And I saw an ad about an organization that was on the east side and for care manager, and I was like, that seems interesting, and I needed a job that would lend me a little bit of flexibility because I was going back to school. And so I applied, and when I came here, I was amazed because there were so many professionals of color that worked here. So it was amazing, and I had worked other places, I had just never seen that. And they were also in the community in which they served.
Yeah.
And so there was a very different vibe and feel to the organization. And I was like, wow, this would be a pretty cool place to work. And so I got the job as a case manager, and kind of worked my way around the organization. So I've had probably every position there is here.
Wow.
And learned about what we do and how we do it and why we do it the way we do it. About 3 years ago, actually, last week was 3 years, was appointed as the CEO of the organization. So that's a little bit about my journey.
I love that. We had a small overlap in my earlier case management days when I worked for the Office of Mental Health with intensive case management work. And so I had a chance to cross paths with you during that time. And even then, I think you were leading. You were kind of convening some leaders throughout the organization, or leaders on the rise, women in particular. The interim CEO kind of tasked you with that. And so during that short time, I had a chance to experience you and your leadership, and that was just a wonderful opportunity. And I'm excited to see the things that you've done so far with growing the organization. It really is exciting.
Yeah, it's been a journey. I always tell people like I didn't come into the organization like, oh, I'm going to run the organization, but what I knew was that I was going to lead something at some point.
Yeah.
Being in the business, I love helping people, but I always thought about like how could I have the biggest impact in helping people, and wanted to be in a position where I could affect policy and decision making, right? And so you understand those are different types of positions.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I knew I had to go in a different place to do what I wanted to do, but never, ever honestly thought it was going to be in this organization. So it was a nice surprise.
That is fantastic. And so you shared with us your journey to the top. And of course, as we know, we are having a conversation about moms and their journey to the top. You are the mom of one, a 10-year-old. Tell us a little bit about how you have managed to balance raising a little person while being in such a high level career.
I don't know if I fully got it, but this is what I've learned. I learned that it's different for everyone. So like, I was a new mom, right? The first time mom, and so I'm like, oh my god, like what do you do? Da da da, and I would talk to people, and you get ideas from people, but then you're like, I don't know if that's really gonna fit for my kid.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's not didn't work for us. So one of the things is my child, she's our only child. My husband and I, she's our only child. So she hangs out with adults a lot. And so she is very good in conversation. And so we talk a lot, because my job is it's demanding. And so sometimes like I'm not home when she thinks I should be home. And so I have to have that conversation about what I'm doing. So the conversation helps, but then also putting some limits on things. I have my calendar. My husband was actually joking with me last night because I got the school calendar for next year. And I'm like, okay, here are all the days. Here's what we're
Yes.
going to know, right? And he's like, why are you doing that now? It's summer. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Scheduling is very important because it helps me know where I need to be when the vacations need to come, those types of things. And really just keeping my eye on what's important, right? And so for me, I want her to see a mom that is doing something she loves to do, but also still really loves and cares about her family. And the fact that, yeah, you can have it all. You can do both, right? And you don't have to give up one for the other, but you do have to plan.
Yes.
And the planning is so important. When I first became a mom, I want to say like the first 5 years, honestly, I was like running around crazy because I really wasn't planning. Like I was just used to it being me or me and my husband, and like, we didn't eat all day. We didn't bother. It was
Right.
but now you got this person, they're like, I'm hungry, and you're like, what? You're hungry. And so learning how to plan things. And so routines are important, but just staying really focused. I have my mom things that I do, like I'm there for recitals, I'm there for the big things. Sometimes I'm not the person that can take you to every practice. Like dad has to do some of that. But I'm there for the important moments, and I'm there when you need me. So when she's like, Mom, I need to talk, all right, like what do you need? That type of thing. So I try to be accessible to her, and we just make it work. I wish
Yeah.
there was like a secret formula because like I'm really still looking for it, but I haven't figured that out.
Yeah, me too. I still can't get over the fact that we have to feed these things every day, these little children. I'm still trying to understand
Like
that
there's
part.
food in the fridge, like I'm like, oh wait, like you're 10, yeah, okay.
Exactly, exactly. So we know balancing the schedule is a challenge that all working moms have, especially moms at high level careers. That's one of the challenges, but there's certainly challenges along the way, right? So talk a little bit about like the most significant challenges that you faced in this journey as being a working mom, and how have you worked to overcome some of those?
So yeah, that honestly, what you just said has been the biggest challenge. Like, there are not a lot of female CEOs, right? There aren't. So most of the time, CEOs are men, and it's different, right? And I know
Mm-hmm.
that there are some men that are single dads, or they're raising their. I get it. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but it is very different because mothers, we are different. We
Yes.
juggle a lot of things. I mean, my family, like they'll sit home and not eat until I get there. Like I don't understand, but and so I had to really kind of step into this is who I am. So I couldn't be a CEO. Like people think they have an idea of what a CEO is and what you do and how you do it. And that was the biggest challenge. Like, no, I'm a mother. I
Yeah.
have these other things. And so I do look at the world differently. I look at like the fact that, there are people with children. You have to take the time. And so sometimes things that we're asking and demanding, they're just not reasonable. And some decisions are purely made because you are a mother, right? And this is going on. And like I could still do my job. I could do my job well. I could show up, but I might not be able to show up at that particular time. And so let's have some flexibility. I used to be very apprehensive about like I'm a mom and I need to do this, but it is part of who I am and it's very
Yeah.
important. And that's been a big challenge. Like first and foremost, I'm a mom and I'm a wife. And so I need to do those things, but I'm going to do the job as well. And I'm going to give you 100% on that, but you got to let me take care of these things. And
Yeah.
it's taken me some time to really lean into that and really, I have a great board and I have those conversations with them. And I'm like, listen, we had a little issue with our annual fundraiser because I had a significant life event with my daughter. I was like, I can't miss it. You guys can do it. I won't be there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very accommodating. They're like, no, you got to be there. So we got to figure this out. And it was a big step for me to say, I got to draw the line here. Right. And so I think that's a big challenge is presenting your whole self because a lot of times in
Yes.
these roles we're like alpha women, right? Like we're doing this stuff and people really don't ever get to see that side of us.
Right.
Like, that we're the soccer moms or the dance, I'm a dance mom, the dance moms and stuff like that. And that, yeah, stuff goes on. And so we take it's a risk sometimes, it's a chance that we take when we kind of put that out there. And so yeah, I've learned to just walk in that very boldly. Like I'm a mom and I'm a CEO. So some of this looks differently. My kid shows up at as many BF&C things as we have. And I'm like, you want to know what your mom does? You're going to learn what your mom does. She's there, ribbon cuttings, fundraisers, the whole nine. So yeah.
I love that. And I love the fact that I love your transparency in the fact that even as a CEO, you kind of had some apprehension about missing the work things. Because I think some people assume that that just goes away like once you have reached the top. Um, but in hearing how you still have to kind of negotiate through that even once you are at the top. And I'm going to jump around with the questions just a little bit because I think it's a good segue into the question about what ways do you think like workplaces can better support mothers, especially mothers of color, as they try to advance in their careers.
So I think one, having more conversation about being a mother and being in a leadership role, because when I was coming up in my career, people didn't talk about that. They just did it, right? Like it was
Yeah.
like, this is what you do, this is your job. But it's all of you. Like if you want someone to perform well, you got to embrace all of them. And in these roles, like my family loses a significant amount of time with me because of my job.
Yeah.
So we have to acknowledge it. How do we do that? I think we allow forums and conversations. I mean, we're constantly trying to do things for women. How do we promote women being intentional about that as well? Because let's just face it, there still is bias against mothers in the workplace. There's still those thoughts that people have. And not looking at someone with a side eye because they can't go to everything. Like I tell people, I can't go to every fundraiser. I got a 10-year-old, this is not happening. But it doesn't mean that I'm not interested or I don't want to support. It just means I can't. And sometimes I have to choose, but not like shaming someone because of that. And so that's a culture shift
Yeah.
in the environment, right? You have to be able to do that, understanding that there are times where that flexibility is needed. Allowing your high level executives to realize that. I think I have like a couple of executives and they're like always, okay, I got to do this. I'm like, okay, you don't got to tell me, right? Like, just do what you do. And
Yeah.
I think it's because like that's just how we're trained. Like, if we're going to embrace, and work is different, right? And how we do the work is different. So if we're going to embrace this next type of leader, which women, like, I'm so excited to see all the opportunities for women, especially brown women, right? we got to change some things. We got to change what we talk about, because my challenge as a black female CEO is different from my white counterparts. Like, it's so different. And I tell
Yes.
them, I'm like, yeah, I get it. We got that sisterhood solidarity, but it's a little different, you know?
Yes.
And so we have to have those conversations. And then how do we support each other? I think there needs to be more support. And I think workplaces can be very intentional on how they set that support up, you know? And so those are just some of the things that we can do. You know, I know that the government, you know, now we have the pregnancy laws and rules. And I think those things are great, because those weren't around when I had my daughter, you
Hmm.
know? Because you think about, oh my God, I'm going to be off of work, you know, for this amount of time. And what does that mean? Even if your job's like be off, you still go back to a bunch of work.
Right.
So, as a work environment, how do we ensure when that mom enters back into work after being on maternity leave that they're not overwhelmed with work? Because you're already overwhelmed with being a mother and just having given birth, right?
Right.
So, what are some little things that we can do there? You know, like ease them back in. I can really say when I did come back from maternity leave, one of the things that BFNC did well is they tried to ease me back in to my role. And I was very appreciative of that, because I was very overwhelmed as a first time mom.
Of course. And then, especially the first time moms, and you done dropped your baby off to daycare, and you got to think about, yeah, I remember all those. I cried for probably 2 years.
And listen,
Uh,
I thought it wasn't, I was like, everybody kept saying, you're going to cry, but you'll be all right. And I was like, I'm not going to cry. I am not going to cry.
right.
Oh, I boo hooed in the car all the way to
Yeah.
work. And I was like, I am crying, you know, but
It
yeah.
was probably up until he was in kindergarten. I felt guilty for going to work, honestly.
Yep.
Um, so you said something that was really key, especially for the conversations that I'm having here on the C-Suite Mama. Initially, my thoughts were that this platform was for all the working moms. But, as I started to have these conversations, both formally here on this platform and with other folks, just really recognizing the void in women of color in leadership, and mothers of color in leadership. And it's a very different experience. And so I'm grateful that you highlighted that particular piece, because we do need these supports in these spaces for sure. Um, to that end, with support systems, how important has your support network been? What does that look like for you throughout your journey, and even today?
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like 8 years ago, I lost my mother unexpectedly. We did not expect her to leave. And my mom was like my biggest cheerleader. She was my support. She was my rock. And that really shifted my life. Really, like I did not know what I was going to do. But, you know, God had, you know, I'm a woman of faith. I'm a believer. So what I know is God had allowed me to marry a fantastic man who was going to be there. And so he has been like my support source and all of that, my cheerleader, everything. He's learning how to be a great girl dad. You know, our daughter's entering middle school, so he's kind of getting his feelings hurt by her a little bit. I'm like, don't take it personal. We're not cool. We're just not cool anymore.
You're
Like,
not
don't take it
cool.
personal. But he really he carries a lot of the weight. You know, it's one thing to be married to a woman in a C-suite position, and it's another thing when you have a small child in the house, right? Because there's a lot going on with these kids these days. So he's like dance dad, doing all this stuff. He was tennis dad. He was, you know, all this. And I would not be able to do what I do without him. Like, he is my support. And then I have siblings that are very supportive, you know, so we try to, you know, help each other out and stuff like that. I'm the oldest, so I probably don't reach out as much as the other two. But and then, you know, you gotta have, you know, girlfriends are important, you know, because I was just sharing with someone. I said I had to tell my family this weekend. You know, I was a whole person with a life before, like, I got married and had a kid and all that stuff, right? And so girlfriends really help provide that support, and you know they've been through it. So when I have that mom guilt, because I do have it, they're like, don't sit there. Don't, you know, we all have it. It's something that happens, and um, you know, it's just good to have those people. And so what I had to learn was, one, I'm a very internal person, but I had to learn to speak up and let people know what was going on with me. And that is really helped me with my support network, because then people know Like they'll say, "Hey, let me do this." Like if we're doing a family gathering, they're like, "Okay, so we're bringing X, Y, and Z," and they'll just tell me, which is a big lift, or we can do this or that, or if I have to have my daughter picked up and maybe my husband can't do it and I'm stuck, like I can call someone and I know that they're going to be there. So support networks are phenomenal. And sometimes I'm like, I look at people and I'm like, oh my God, you have all these people. But I just realized God gives us what we need when we need it and how we need it. And so I'm very thankful for that.
That's really good. That's a good nugget. I'm sure that has blessed somebody today, and it's a great reminder for me. Thank you. So, tell me a little bit about, we talked about the motherhood piece. We talked about the career piece. How do you think your role as a mom has influenced your role as a leader, and vice versa?
Okay, so I feel moms make great leaders, right? Like I just like I see it. I'm like, ooh, becoming a mom really changed my leadership style. It gave me a lot more compassion for people because for the first time in my life, I was in a position where I was super vulnerable. Like it was crazy. Like nobody told me I was gonna be crying during commercials and stuff. Like it just everything changed. And it really changed how I looked at people and how I looked at the world. And then becoming responsible for this being, right? Like I'm responsible for hopefully she turns out to be a pretty amazing adult. But like, yeah, so it matters what you do. It matters how you show up. It matters what you put out there. So it made me more cognizant of what I do and who I am. It definitely made me a better advocate because I had to learn, right? Because I'm advocating for this little person. Those same skills, I'm bringing them to work, using them.
Right.
And and in a way, that's how I treat the organization. I don't try to look at the employees as children because they're not; they're adults. But there is that mom thing where you feel like, ooh, I just want to, and ooh, you're doing the wrong thing. So it made me much more compassionate. I think it made me pay much more attention to detail. People laugh because I told my daughter I have mom ears and mom eyes. She totally still believes it. But you tune into things, right? So even in meetings at work, like you see things that other people miss or you pick up on things, right?
Yeah.
And it's just really helped like that whole intuition and everything that you have. And I think it's for me, it's made me a better leader. It really, really has. So I think it's been a positive thing.
That's fantastic. My son, I call it mommy magic, the mom ears and mom eyes. So he thinks I'm like all seeing, all knowing,
Yeah.
all the time. And he's gonna be 12.
Oh my
He
goodness.
knows that whatever you do, I'm gonna find out. Um, so you talked about um, how being a mom has influenced your leadership over time or over the last 10 years. I know that you've probably gotten some really great advice. You were under the tutelage of Miss Jan Peters for some time at BFNC. What other kind of advice or how have people spoken into your life over the years, and what's been some of the best advice that you've gotten so far?
Wow. I think one of the things that I learned from Dan Peters was just like to tell your story, right?
Mm,
I learned that like I've been learning how to be more transparent. Like this is who I am. Like I'm not perfect, right? But let me tell you, right? So you don't have to guess. Let me tell you. And that's one of the things I learned in leadership. Like just tell your story because then it kind of takes away all this. People make up stories. So
yeah,
it's like if I did it, I'm gonna say I did it, and if I didn't do it, I'm like, really, I didn't do it. So that's one of the things. The other thing is like, my mother taught me you have to be able to go to sleep every night. So a lot of times when you're in these positions, like you got a lot of people talking at you. There's a lot of expectations and a lot of other stuff that goes on. And for me, it's like at the end of the day, can I sleep well at night?
yeah,
Did I really do what I really should have been doing? And am I okay with it? Because I got to be okay with it. So my mom taught me that. And she'd always say to us, like, listen, you can do anything you want to do, but know that there is a response to everything you do. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And you got to be willing to live with it. And if you're willing to live with whatever that is, then you go for it. So I've always carried that with me in making decisions so that the decision has to be mine, right? And the thing I think that I am learning, and I've learned from a variety of people, that I've really adopted as my own, is like you just walk out this thing as yourself. Like be the most authentic version of you. I think as women, sometimes we struggle with like imposter syndrome. There's so much going on. We want to be, and it's great to have role models, but you got to figure this thing out for you and what works for you. And so, really, walking life out being the most authentic version of yourself, because you don't want to look back and be like, oh man, I wish I had, or why didn't I, right? Versus saying, I did it and that was stupid and I learned from it, right? Or I did it and that was great and it did what I thought it was supposed to be. And so, as a leader, as a person, that's how I really try to live my life. Like I don't have all the answers. I don't always get it right, but I'm being the most authentic me that I can be, and sometimes it works well and sometimes it doesn't.
That is such good advice. And I know that in this process of walking out your most authentic self, you probably had some professional setbacks as you figured all of that out. Can you share maybe one of like your major professional setbacks and how that kind of helped you grow?
Yeah. So interestingly, what a lot of people may or may not know, so there was a CEO prior to me that came after Jan Peters. And actually, when Jan Peters left, I actually interviewed for the position, and it boiled
Oh,
down
wow.
to me and this other CEO, right? And I didn't get the job. And at first you're kind of like, oh man, I didn't get the job. It it wasn't. It could have been viewed as a setback, but I look at it as a setup. It really provided me the opportunity to do some things in life that I wanted to do, things that I probably wouldn't have did had I gotten the position then. It allowed me to learn and grow, and it really showed me what kind of person I was as a leader. Because what I said was, again, I'm a person of faith, so I said, hey, God, you control my life. So if it was really for me, it would have been for me, right? Like it wouldn't. So I can't, because people say stuff, whatever. You can't listen to that. And I said, but I know that there's a purpose in all of this, and so I need you to show me the purpose. And I was actually able to work with the prior CEO. I think we worked well together. And I tried to support him in the very best way that I could. And so I always wanted to give 100% to the job. Some people would have been like, oh, I ain't doing that. They ain't choose me, whatever. And it wasn't that kind of mindset, right? And again, it was about like, okay, Chandra, really, how are you going to go through this thing? And I think, it really taught me who I was as a leader in terms of my integrity and my values. And so, and I got to develop a lot of skills too during
Yeah.
that period. And I think I was much better suited this time around, right? Because at this time around, I was like, I don't expect it. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm just doing my job, like that's really
Yeah.
how it was. And I was okay with me and who I was. And so it helped me kind of formulate into who I am today.
That's beautiful. I did not know that you had a previous attempt at this position. And so that's super inspiring because I think people can often get stuck or discouraged when they get the first no for something that they feel like they seemingly deserve, especially after having given so many years in the organization. And so that's a beautiful story and integrity and wisdom and patience and all those good things. I think that's amazing. Um, so you gave us a really good look of your whole journey. Tell us what is next for you with your career, your organization, your family, whatever you're willing to share. What's in the future?
Yeah, so I can say I don't know. I don't know, right? Like
Okay.
I've really been spending some time thinking about that. Like I said, these jobs are very demanding. So part of me is like, okay, what do you want to do? Is this how long you want to do this type of thing? There are some things that I have you know vision, and I want to see those things come to fruition for the organization. Some more expansion. We're doing some more renovations. It's really great. We're growing. It's a beautiful thing, really.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to see those things through. I'm not sure what's next. I really am not. I think maybe something not in human services. I don't know. It's changing so much,
Yeah,
but I think only time will tell.
for sure.
And personally, okay. So personally, I'm on this journey. to take better care of myself and to spend more time on myself. And
Yes.
that has really been, that's a challenge for me. So that's personally what I'm working on. Really just taking time, stepping back, smelling the roses, really enjoying the moments. Like I started looking at something, I was looking through pictures and I was like, oh my God, I'm not in any of these pictures. I'm taking the pictures, but I'm not in the pictures. So I'm like, we
Yes.
got to change that. I just don't want to have the memories from the sideline of the pictures. I want to be in the memories, right? And so personally, that's what I'm working on.
I love that so much. My family and I, we just came off of our family vacation, and I had to keep reminding myself, like, you better get somebody else to take a picture, or it's gonna be a selfie or something, because I was really on the other side of the camera, and I want to make sure that my children and future grandchildren will be able to see me in the old beach photos and all that.
Yes,
So
exactly.
yeah, I love that so much. Well, this is great, and I really enjoy getting to know about your history and hearing some of your wisdom. Now we're going to move on to the fun stuff with our lightning round.
Okay.
All right. So, morning routine. How do you start your day?
I check my calendar
Okay.
and then I go and take my shower.
Okay. Calendar first. That's the first
Calendar
one.
first.
Thank you.
Because I gotta know how I'm supposed to dress for the day. What's going on? So,
That's accurate. That's so accurate. Productivity hack. What's one thing that keeps you productive?
my list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a
Do you
list.
use Do you use
I
like a
do
special
use
app?
well, okay, no. I use my phone. I have notes and then I use post-it notes. And then I have notebooks, like a ton of notebooks. But listen, I'll rip up some post-it notes in a minute, but it
I
helps
love
keep me on
it.
track and I can check stuff off. I need to see things completed. So
Yeah, yeah, same. Inspirational figure. Who do you look up to?
it's interesting one. There's so many people, but I really, it was my mom. My mom was a teen mother. She got married very young. She had me
Wow.
when she was 15 years old, and she managed somehow to figure out how to be a wife and a mother. And it wasn't until I became an adult that I recognized all the challenges she went through, and I was just amazed when I learned out her as a person, right? Because we don't
Yeah.
see our moms as people with lives, right? They're moms,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it was just really inspiring to me. And before she passed away, we had an opportunity to go to lunch, and she said to me, she said, "All I ever wanted to do in life was just be like a really great mom to you guys,"
Wow.
and that just so inspired me. Like that's all she ever wanted to be, and that was enough for her, right? So it was, yeah, my
That's
mom.
beautiful. That is beautiful. How do you unwind after a long day?
I watch mindless TV. Like I
I love
do. I
it.
watch some stuff on TV because it's like crazy. It makes no sense. Like, okay, yeah, I do. I'll watch some Housewives and stuff like that. I know it's not good, but
Good. That was good.
I watch it because I don't have to think, right? I'm like, are people really on TV doing this? Oh my goodness. But it's just
Yeah,
like, okay, mindless TV, or I'll play like some silly game on my phone or something because I don't have to think about it.
I love that. I like a good mindless TV show too,
Yeah,
whatever it might be, some reality or
yeah. Something doesn't make
something
sense.
goofy. Yep. Favorite book or podcast? What's been really influential to you lately?
I have so many. I love to read. I have so many favorite books. What did I just read? Well, I haven't read anything recently. But one that I really loved was The Warmth of Other Suns.
So
That,
this book keeps coming up. I gotta check it out.
yeah, yeah. And I started reading Cast, her book Cast, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But it just really gives a different perspective for those of us that have families that came up through the Great Migration and stuff like that. But to really look at, I think because I was born in the North and you kind of sometimes view the South a certain way, but it gives you another perspective of things. So that was like really, really good. And I think when we're trying to understand race, right, and Black
Yeah,
people, it's a great book.
it really is. I listened to that one. I didn't read it. I listened to it, but it definitely gave some insight for the work that we do, especially.
Yeah,
Excuse me. Hidden talent, something that many folks don't know you can do.
I can play the clarinet.
Get out. I
Yes,
I really had no idea. That is so cool. Do you still play?
I haven't played in a while, but I did. I think maybe like 3 years ago I tried to do it, and I can still do it. So yes,
Oh, so cool. I played for like 5 minutes in middle school, but my teeth were too sensitive, so I gave it up because the
oh
like read. Yeah.
yeah,
Anyway.
whole thing, marching band, concert band,
What?
all of that.
And you were Buffalo born and raised?
Western New York, so Niagara Falls.
Western New York.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Cool. Guilty pleasure. I know you said you like to watch mindless TV, but give us something else. What's your favorite way to treat yourself?
Okay, I like purses and shoes. Yeah,
I'm trying to recover.
yeah,
I'm with you though.
yeah. I have to. I try, but that is my guilty pleasure. You know
I
that.
love it. What's your favorite purse or shoe that you bought recently?
Okay, so I've been good. I haven't. Okay, I haven't bought any purses recently. I haven't. But my favorite purse is a purse my husband brought for me 3 years ago, and it's a black leather Louis Vuitton tote. And I love it. It's my favorite purse. It really is. He did a
Awesome.
great job. But recently, I bought a pair of. So I'm not really a sneakers person, but I bought a pair of Sperry sneakers. Like they don't lace up. They have laces, but you don't have to tie them up, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like a little platform on them, and they are so comfortable. So
Oh.
yeah,
It's all about comfort and function for me these days. And I feel like it is very telling of this age time in my life of the comfort shoes. But I will tell you I'll plug my friend's handbag, Francie. I don't know if you're familiar with Francie, but it
oh,
is a local, well, she's from Buffalo. I'm not going to say local because her stuff has actually been in Paris Fashion Week and New York Fashion Week.
okay,
But she started with jewelry, and they have entered in the handbag space. Beautiful bags. I now have three, but check out Francie. You'll love her. FRANCI. Yep. Okay, I got off track. Back to the lightning round. Um, Give me one word to describe your career journey,
that's a tough one.
or you can do one phrase.
I would say, I would say surprising. That's the word I would
Hmm,
use. Surprising.
I love that. Okay, and then finally, what's one item that's always on your desk?
Some post-it notes. Sitting on my
Okay.
desk, I'm like post-it notes.
Yep, yep. I love it. Well, you did say lip gloss. That has been the recurring one lately, lip gloss and chapstick. So post-it notes. All right. Well, that concludes the lightning round. So tell us what you have going on at BFNC, how folks can find you if they want to be in touch with you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so we're on the web at www.bfnc.org. So you can always reach out to us that way. And we have so much going on right now. But one of the things I'm super excited about is that we received some funding to do mental wellness support groups for mothers. So we've been doing that called Mommy Matters. So it's really great. Like we've been doing these weekly sessions, different facilitators for those. And on August 17th from 12 to 3, we're doing a mother daughter lunch slash kind of fashion show where the participants are actually going to be the fashion show, those that want to participate. And there'll be a prize for the mother daughter duo that is totally just decked out. But actually, our inspiring speaker is going to be Shay Campbell for the event, and we have panelists. And I know your mom is going to be one of the panelists
Yes.
for the event, and it's just going to be a really good time, right? And I think it's just a good opportunity to come and uplift. And we have this great project that we're doing as part of this grant, where we're doing an affirmation journal, and so we're collecting affirmations from all the moms to kind
Oh,
of go into this journal. And we'll be taking some photos during the event that will go in this journal and also be displayed in our space. So we're super excited about that. And just like, I think it's nice to be able to do something for moms, right?
yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited about this. Obviously, all things related to mom and women is very important, very near and dear. Super excited to be able to share space with my own mother, who I can't even count the number of mommy and me things and teas and dinners and fashion shows that we've attended throughout throughout the years. And so I'm excited that we get to share space and share the stage. And I think it's going to be a great time. I love the innovation that BFNC has done with these community events. I know you are doing a lot of stuff in the space with pastors and mental health and all the things. So I'm really excited about what you all are doing. I'm super honored to be a panelist and to be considered. I'm grateful. So we look forward to that. Tell us the date of the event and where folks can get more information and register and all that stuff.
So the registration materials should be out within the next week or so, but you could always contact the office at 716-852-5065, extension 183. if you want to register for the event, which we need you to register because we're going to feed you. There's some cool little swag bags, stuff like that. So we want to make sure we have enough. And we're limiting the attendees for this. So we really want it to be a great event. And the event is August 17th, which is a Saturday from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. And it's actually going to be at our BFNC administration site located at 2365 Main Street in the event room.
Yes, so exciting. And that is, I know we have listeners that are everywhere. This is happening in Buffalo, New York. So please, Buffalo folks, I know we like to buy tickets and register for things last minute. We're not going to do that because space is limited and they need to get their head count. So this episode, you'll have about a week or so. To register by the time this airs. So please don't miss it. It's going to be an exciting event. We don't often get like these kind of things in the summertime. So I really love that we get this opportunity. It's not just limited to Mother's Day, but we get to support mamas throughout the year. So please check it out. Thank you so much, Chandra, for being here. Thank you for the invitation to speak at your event and being willing to come on and share your story with me today. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll have you back again in the future. I'll make sure we add all of your information in the show notes. Until next time, thank you everyone for listening. All righty. All right. And we like to cover a couple reoccurring segments. And so today, I'm just going to share a mama moment. And so the mama moments come in either me sharing some of my own experiences or sharing a note from some other folks. And so I want to share with you the mama moment for me. At the time of this recording, my family and I will have just came back from our family vacation. And I'm using this as a mama moment because it has been a very long time since I have completely unplugged, completely disconnected for a straight work week. And I'm talking notifications off, not text messaging. I will say I had one little exchange about work, but it was stuff that I needed to kind of tend to. But for the most part, I was completely detached from work. And I'm so proud of myself for that. I read 3 novels and I have not done that in the longest time. I kind of thrown myself into professional development and personal development and all these self-help books, et cetera, et cetera. And so to allow myself to just completely get lost in the characters and the stories, I am grateful. And it was such a great time. So that is my mama moment, that we took a family vacation and I was really able to relax and enjoy. So that is the mama moment for the week. Another one of our recurring segments is a spotlight. And so sometimes I like to spotlight some really cool articles. And so to that end, I'm going to share this quick article that was shared with me from my president and CEO in the company that I work for. And this is an article or a blog post from Catapult Executive Coaching. And this article, it is 9 reasons why leaders should feel good about taking vacation time. And I thought this was so good. I'm not sure if this is something that folks will publicly have access to, but you could check out catapultsuccess.com. That is their website. But I'll real quick go over those 9 reasons that you should take your vacation time. 1, to recharge your batteries, gain fresh perspective, inspire creativity and innovation, prioritize work-life balance, which you talk about a lot here, strengthening relationships, boosting productivity and performance, preventing burnout and stress, of course, cultivating leadership agility, and leading by example. Now, of course, in the article, they go on to explain all of these things, but I thought this was really great and it was really timely as it tied in with my mama moment for taking a vacation and completely unplugging. Check out that article. Let me know which of those 9 things resonate with you. Please don't forget, if you have any questions, if you want to comment, if you need some advice, please write in and we would love to support you in your career journey. Please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the C-Suite Mama podcast. And make sure you share this with your friends. Don't be stingy. Till next time, thanks for listening.